Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Best on Wellbeing podcast. Today, we have a discussion that perhaps isn't the most entertaining one, but very important for our well-being in general, which is boredom. We'll call it today beautiful boredom. Boredom's a very tricky concept because, in a way, it feels so uncomfortable for many of us, including myself sometimes. Sometimes it's like, ooh, I'm bored. I just want to take out my phone, and but boredom is so good for the brain, like literally physically good for the brain. Now, most people know and probably have heard this on the internet or somewhere that, boredom's good for children. It forces them to use their imagination and things like that. And so allowing your kids to be bored, removing the screens away sometimes and just letting them be bored will force them to, figure it out and play imaginary games. And that's very good for the development and cognitive development and so on and so forth. And that's true, 100% true, and super supportive of that. So, but this podcast is mostly focused on adult health. Maybe eventually, if people are interested, we could talk about children's health on certain concepts. But what we talk about less is how good boredom is for adults. Just to give an example, when somebody has a concussion, when an adult has a concussion, the most important thing for somebody to recover properly from a concussion is boredom, is to fully allow someone to be bored, which can be very challenging to coach someone who's had a concussion, who's used to being busy and active and this, that, and say, okay, I need you to just kind of just chill on the couch and just sit there. And really avoid screen times. I don't even want you to read right now. If you can avoid watching TV. So what do you want me to do? I just want you to sit there for a couple of days, go to sleep, sit there, get up, maybe a gentle walk outside, go back, just sit on the couch, just hang out, and that's so hard for people to do. I'm not trying to say that's easy, by the way. I'm just trying to give you the example that the number one thing when a brain has been injured through a concussion, so a big hit, let's say a hit to the head, there's a little bit of inflammation in the brain because of the concussion, and which is creating a little bit of neurological symptoms. And we really want people to not have long-term effects from the concussion and recover well over the next few weeks, which sometimes when people ignore the recommendations, the effects of the concussion can drag on for months, sometimes years. I've had to help people in my career who came to me 6 months after concussion because they never really did anything, and then they're still having symptoms, and we had to kind of restart the process, and things worked out pretty well. So just to say that boredom is the number one remedy for a concussion. Okay, after that, when you start to build up, and there's different sort of protocols and methods in terms of re-stimulating the brain, different balancing exercises, having a ball, doing different, slowly stressing the brain more and more to make sure that it's okay for young people to return to sport or return to for adults to return to their work environment in a safe and healthy way. But those are the add-ons that we add along the way when we feel the brain is doing a lot better and we bring them back to where they were before. But the first medicine, the first remedy for a concussion is to be bored, is to just shut it down and minimize stimulation. Okay? That's pretty much what we can say boredom is, minimal stimulation. Okay? And the point I'm trying to say is that this is a very physical thing. A healthy brain, in order to restore health to the brain, you must give it boredom. Now, we live in an age where there's constant stimulus inputs. We have our phones in our pockets all the time. We have TV. We have a busy lifestyle. We have activities. We have this, and that. And we avoid boredom like it's the plague, a lot of us. And again, me too, I'm included in all this. And sometimes these podcasts are really good for me because they remind me of things that I need to do in my own life. But boredom is so good for you. Okay. It's so good for recovery and it's one of those things. It's like a muscle. It's like, you're going to the gym or whatever, you're going exercising and whatever, you're doing a bit of cardio at the gym and you're on the treadmill and you're running. Oh, this is so uncomfortable. Like I'm just breathing heavy. How much time left? And like, it's uncomfortable. And like, oh my gosh, this is not comfortable. And then you finish and like, oh, okay, I feel, then the endorphins start to hit and you're like, oh, I feel pretty good. I'm glad I did that. That felt better. And then it's like, I even feel more energy today. I feel because the exercise, the fact of putting yourself in an uncomfortable physical situation brought a lot of benefits to your physical health and general energy and well-being and so on. Okay. So the analogy I'm saying here is boredom is very similar to the mind and our cognitive health. Okay. Allowing yourselves, for example, 10 minutes sometimes, or not even 5 minutes, like there's nothing, um, you come home and your spouse has got dinner going. Great. Thank you. Dinner's going. The kids are already doing something. Everybody's reading a book and you come home from work. And again, our idea is, okay, well, I got to do something. I sit down. I'm going to look at my phone. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'll find just sit there. Just sit and just sit. You know, be bored. It's so good for the brain. It's excellent because to just ramp down the stimulus input, even though it can be uncomfortable for us to be bored. It's one of those things that you allow yourself to be bored and 5-10 minutes, let's say, just nothing. Okay. And your mind wanders. I'm not even talking about meditation here. Just do nothing. Be bored. And it's uncomfortable. Ooh, I just want to pull out my phone and check out my feed. But then you just let yourself be bored. And then it's uncomfortable. And you just whatever. All right. This guy on this podcast tell me to be bored. I'll give it a try. and and then you're bored. And then, you get up and you sit down to the dinner table. And all of a sudden it's like, my mood's pretty good. I feel okay. Yeah, I feel like I get a little more energy for tonight because I had this report I got to finish that I was been dreading. But I feel okay about it now. Boredom is so good for the brain. And I can't emphasize this enough. And allowing ourselves to be bored is really a benefit to ourselves. Again, but it can be uncomfortable. We're not used to it. We don't like it. We don't like the feeling of it. We want to feel it. But when we don't, and we allow ourselves to be uncomfortably bored, if you will, and sometimes and by the way, it doesn't necessarily need to be uncomfortable. Sometimes boredom is like you're bored. It's uncomfortable for the first 2-3 minutes. And then it actually becomes quite pleasant. You sit there and you're just kind of watching, you look at your house and observe and, just check out things and watch your family or people around you or just kind of hang. Okay. So, and then it's like, I feel kind of calm. So I'm not trying to say boredom's always this bad thing. It can actually transmute itself into something very pleasant. But let's say we still find it uncomfortable, but just being uncomfortable and allowing ourselves to be bored really has a hugely beneficial. It gives the brain a time to just take a breath. The brain's constantly processing information. It's kind of like fasting for the body. Sometimes just not eating, skipping a meal just gives the digestive tract a little break so it can recover. And we might cover that eventually in another episode. But allowing ourselves to be bored is hugely beneficial for the brain. Even if it's uncomfortable, you still benefit from it. You still recover from it. And again, a prime example. And again, I'm guilty of this too. You sit down to go for a poop and you still need to pull out your phone and look at it. Again, I'd be a hypocrite. I'm not judging people. I'm just saying it's something I do this. I'm trying not to anymore. Whenever, if I'm going to poop, I still will read a book, but if I'm sitting down on the toilet, just sit there, and don't do anything. Just hang, and it's good for the brain. Okay. So giving ourselves moments of boredom on a regular basis is super beneficial. It's almost like an exercise. It can be uncomfortable. It can be a little jittery. Okay. But ultimately, when you reactivate, it's like your brain's more fresh. It has more juice. It has more energy. It's a little bit more well calibrated because you gave it a moment to just, get it together again. We demand a lot out of our brains. We're constantly demanding this and this and that. And as soon as we have a break, we don't give it a break. We actually start feeding it more information and through our phones, So give your brain a break sometimes. Give yourself ability to be bored, and you will notice that your overall day-to-day is infused with a bit more well-being because you're giving your brain what it needs. So let's embrace beautiful boredom, folks, and I hope you have a good day. We'll see you next time.